Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there. Here I am. Made it to the new year. Happy 2022 to you. Hey. I was sitting here thinking about all of these consequential years we've been living in. And I've been thinking of the trepidation that so many of us feel about what next. And it occurred to me that it has ever been thus. It's just we're more aware of it. I mean, we're always hurtling headlong into a future that we don't know. I mean, this idea that we navigate through our lives with some semblance of order and knowing what awaits us, or with our plans and our schedules, and it all seems so silly to me now, because it seems we've been put on notice that all of those semblances of control, the way we organize our lives, are just illusory. But I have a feeling that a lot of people wouldn't be able to put one foot in front of the other if they were constantly reminded of how we are hurtling into the unknown every second of the day. And we have lots of people around who have various names like seers, prophets, pundits, who supposedly have the capacity to see ahead, to warn us, to make us ready. But they don't really know either. I don't know, guys. I think we've all been changed in ways we may not like in the last, I don't know whether to start it from the pandemic or from 2016, but probably 2016. So these have been some hard times for thoughtful people. And we're heading into another, I'm sure, tumultuous time. And I hope that we'll all find the capacity, the wherewithal, the strength to deal with what comes our way. I have no idea where all that just came from. It's always hard for me to come back after being gone for a while from this show. It always strikes me as odd that I sit here and yap about things. I don't write anything down. I'm just talking off the top of my head. I don't even know where I'll start a show, which is, I think, not good. I should create some order, I would think. But it's not my nature, frankly. I am not somebody who orders my life. And that has served me well and ill, but it is just what I do. I'm always bemused and sometimes envious of those of you who do make efforts to order the chaos. And some of you are really good at it. And I suppose that kind of structure and attempt at order is really necessary for many to function. But again, I say that it gives a false sense of control. And I think that for people who desire control, and I suspect most of us do, I look at some people and I say, man, are they a control freak? And then I think, but I am too. I'm in a different way, not quite like some. I don't like controlling other people. And I don't particularly like controlling myself. Haven't proved to be very good at it. So what is it I'm controlling? I don't know. I don't know why I'm being so contemplative. Let's just jump in. This week we'll see the 1-year anniversary. I'm not usually into anniversaries, but this one I am, of the attempt by Trumpers and the Republicans to overthrow the rule of law that has stood up. Well, saying the rule of law has stood up. You know what I mean. January 6th. A day that shall live in infamy. Should live in infamy. But you know what? I don't want to talk about it. I really don't. Not today. There'll be plenty of time to. I'm hopeful, which is not my nature, that the congressional investigation that has been ongoing about what happened that day, other than what we ourselves observed, I'm hoping it will lead us to a place where there will be consequences felt, and not just by the schmoes who fell for the lie, the schmoes who did the bidding of Trump and his cohort. It is always like this. Remember the war on drugs? Who paid the price for that? Little people. People standing on the corner selling drugs. Not the big boys. Not the ones who truly trafficked in it, who made millions and billions in it. Not so much them. No. Because they're harder to get to. And it's the schmoes that are always easy pickings. And I have no problem with schmoes facing a measure of consequence and justice for their actions. But It's the guys in the suits. It's the guys in the suits. It's the guys in the White House. It's the guys at the Willard Hotel. It's the guys on Fox News. It is those well-heeled folk who I fear will never suffer consequence. I have history on my side in that regard. They rarely do. Okay, I'm going to stop this meandering because it's starting to annoy me. And I have to, I'm so troubled by something, and I have to share it. And I know I've essentially shared this before, but this is a different one. It seems like every day brings another. I am so astonished. I'm on Twitter, and it astonishes me. The fact that so many people rely on it for some kind of solace or validation or community. Are we kidding ourselves? Turning to strangers for comfort? I keep seeing these things where somebody, I've shared this before, where somebody dies and the first thing their spouse or whatever it does is it like goes on Twitter to reach out for comfort. From who? Anonymous, faceless people who might follow you? It suggests such an emptiness, a soullessness in our lives. The one I saw today, let me find it. Jeez. And this one not only sought help from strangers, but was pissy about it. And on top of it, started the whole thing with the two letters S-O. So. And I read this and I thought, you sad human being. I'll read what this woman put out here. So, I posted that my dear husband and best friend died, and 5 people care. So that means like 5 people like responded in some way. And then she goes on and says, I am a faithful follower and commenter, and the big folk can't be bothered. Well, go ahead, play favorite song games, and I will raise up a good man in sparse company. I find that so troubling because it's indicative of where we are culturally and maybe even spiritually in turning to the validation of followers, friends, not friends, people on social media who've clicked once on something you put out there. And yet people, the power of a word like friend, the trashing of a concept like friend. And all of this has given rise to a culture in which people are so hungry for this constant validation from strangers that they're of some value, that they're being heard. And what it means is that what sustained humanity for up until now has been true friends and family, three-dimensional people. Really, to me, frightening. And because once you start getting this sense of where people's heads are and how alone they feel, you see how you can end up with a country in which perhaps 40% of the population believes that up is down and red is green and truth is a lie. There are too many people unmoored. Oh, God. All right, I'll stop. Ha! You believe that? Pittsburgh's getting a new mayor today at 1 o'clock. First African American, first black mayor of this city, Ed Gainey. He'll do it virtually. There won't be the kind of celebration I'm sure he would appreciate, and the black community would appreciate, but, these are strange times. If you want to see it, by the way, it's being streamed on city TV stations. I mean, Comcast and Verizon have different places for that. And the city's Facebook and all that kind of stuff, if you're interested. Oh, I hope he's up to it. Gainey. I hope he's up to it. I don't know how anyone can navigate through these political things. Feels like winter today. That's odd. Shouldn't be odd, but it's odd, isn't it? Winter. Whatever happened to winter? We're into January and we've experienced none of it. I'm actually grateful that it's winter, because I find these 55 and 60 degree winter days, while appreciating the ability to be out without being wrapped up in so many layers, I find them disquieting, as should, I suppose. And speaking of disquieting, so how many of you heard or felt that thing? It's still not confirmed, but the sense is that it was an meteor exploding, burning up and exploding above our heads with a force strong enough to rattle windows and shake people. It was felt in West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. I had a friend who texted me, did you just hear that? What was that? And I had heard something. I was walking my dog. It was raining. And I heard a boom, an odd boom. And I thought, what was... The thing is that everybody had the same reaction. What was that? And it's because, we know what things sound like. So I thought thunder, and then I thought, no. I said, that wasn't thunder, I said to myself. That was not thunder. And anyway, this isn't the kind of rainstorm that begets thunder. It's just not it. But I didn't have a clue. Strange stuff. Everything's so strange, huh? Tornadoes in December, meteors exploding, people thinking, was that an earthquake or was that a meteor exploding or was that thunder and why did my house shake? And could we have a moment of calm? Did we ever? Got some good news. Doesn't apply to us, but I just like knowing about it because you know how much I despise those polluting leaf blower things. And by polluting, I mean polluting the peace of my neighborhood. It's noise pollution. It's air pollution. It's destructive. It's horrible. And it's all because we've come to believe that leaves are enemies. Again, it's another indication of the world being berserk. But I was glad to see that, at least in the District of Columbia, people will rest easier because gasoline-powered leaf blowers are now illegal there. And man, that can't happen here fast enough. And of course, it won't. It won't. Gigi writes, we certainly heard it here in Washington County. Well, supposedly it was over Washington County, right? In as much as anyone knows anything about this. It's funny, the Weather Service, the National Weather Service, and its meteorologists had to come out and say, I know even though we're called meteorologists, we don't know anything about meteors. God, isn't it? You would think a meteorologist would be somebody who studies meteors, but that's not what it is. People who study weather. So the National Weather Service had to say, duh, I don't know what the hell that was. So we're left with, I don't know, what? The people who scan the heavens. Not for weather, but for objects. Gigi says, we decided it was a sonic boom. I used to hear them when I was a kid. We figured it must have been a meteor or a military plane. Wait, I thought you just said you thought it was a sonic boom. Oh, because meteors make sonic booms. Do they? Yeah, if they're well, what do I know? I have a meteor or a military plane. So we weren't surprised when the National Weather Service says it was likely a meteor. Pretty cool. Yeah. Only in America. Uh, only in America, because I read in City Paper that someone is already marketing a Pittsburgh Meteor commemorative ornament. Yes, you too can have your Pittsburgh Meteor commemorative ornament. As the editor of City Paper said, it looks strangely like a chicken leg covered in hot sauce and dipped in a dash of barbecue sauce. So just wanted to say, the guy who's trying to make some money on the boom also tried to make money on the bus that went into the sinkhole. Made a Christmas tree ornament out of that, and here's the new one, the Pittsburgh Meteor. And it does look like a buffalo chicken wing dipped in barbecue sauce. Oh well, whatever. I understand the need, desire, and yearning for distraction. Oh gosh. So guys, I normally don't talk about football, I guess. Big football day in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Big Ben's final appearance at the field. And then there's this football story that I do want to comment on just because I've seen some of the ugliness on Twitter about it. And it is about the meltdown of Antonio Brown in yesterday's Tampa Bay Jets game. I saw the video, and watching it, I felt sadness. And it amazes me that people have any other reaction than that. Because it is so clearly a human being who we know has struggled for years with an inability to control himself, with a rage that consumes him, and a self-destructive force that overtakes him. So watching somebody self-destruct in front of millions of people is not grounds for snarky, nasty comments. And believe me, Twitter was full of them about what a jerk he is, what a this he is, what a blah, 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 blah. And all I'm thinking is, no, it's you people who are saying that who are the jerks. Because you're showing yourself to have no understanding at all mental illness, because that is obviously someone in need of help who's never had it. He's been used by the National Football League because he is, besides being a mentally ill person, he is an extraordinarily gifted athlete. And so team after team overlooked his behaviors because he could bring them money. So I look at that man and I see tragedy, sadness. And I also suspect, but we won't know till he's dead, that he could well be suffering from what we now know can happen to football players who take hits to their heads, that he could have CTE and his brain is being eaten away. And if that's what it is, there's nothing anybody can do. And I've seen a few people remark about one hit that he took, and I do remember it, a vicious, vicious hit by a vicious football player named Vontaze Burfict, Cleveland Browns, right? He knocked Antonio Brown out with a concussion and out of the season. And to think that that didn't do additional damage to whatever else was going on in him, I don't know. I don't know. But to see people piling on him when he so clearly is ill. It just makes me sad. All right. Oh, God. And then there was this. Scream at you. Groan in your ear. I saw this and said, I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it because this is kind of piece that's meant for people like me. And it was in the Washington Post, and and the headline was words in English don't last forever. And I thought, oh no, there's another one about how our language, I know it's a growing thing. Words are created, words die. And I finally went back and read it, and damn, if it wasn't centered around the one word that I have been worrying about for years. I've worried about it in your ears for years. And that was the little three-letter word, few. And the whole damn article was about how few is toast. I will use it until my dying day, but I'm close to toast myself. It's hard to get through a day without being reminded of few going down, because nobody uses it anymore. Instead, they use less, and it doesn't sound right. Oh, God. Anyway, the piece made this whole big thing about why, and this is what happens, and its usage, and blah, blah, blah. And in fact, there was some differentiation between few and less, but gone. And so there it was. Few is toast. Word opalescence is a natural part of a living language. Yeah, and because it's a living language, things die. Few. Could we have a few moments of reflection for the word few, and with it fewer and fewest? They served well, but they've been jettisoned for a much less interesting word. A much less interesting word. Less. You. I'm just saying, hey, oh, God, I meant to do this, and I should have done it when I was talking about winter finally showing itself. This is what's called a public service announcement, and I'm glad to be the bearer of it. And I want to remind you that if you or anyone you know is struggling paying your heating bills, People's Natural Gas is happy to connect you with programs and grants that can help provide energy assistance or lower monthly payments or help you reduce your energy usage or give you tons of blankets to wrap yourself in. I don't know. It is all confidential. And if you want to know if, in fact, you might be eligible, here's what you need to know. You can visit peoplesgas.com/programs. You're not going to do. Or you can call this, and it's actually an easy number, 1-800-400-WARM, WARM, 800-400-WARM. Even I can remember that. And you know I don't remember any numbers. 800-400-WARM, and you can, learn more. That's all. So just wanting you to know that. Wait. Kevin, you're trying to tell me something? I had a caller. I'm sorry. I had a caller. Do I have a caller? No, I don't think so. All right, fine. Guys, when I get on when I'm doing my thing and yapping and talking, especially I haven't yapped and talked in a long time, I there are too many things here. In order to, well, it doesn't matter. Shut up. Anyway, I wanted to tell you that I had personally such a gratifying time in that I was able to be together with my brother's family. And I had not seen or been in the same room with so many of them, and certainly not all of us together, since before the pandemic. And those of us who are blessed enough to have family, even if they're not here, even if they're someplace else, but have the opportunity to get together and enjoy ourselves like it was normal times. It was such a solace So wonderful. And one of the things I loved is being the old people. I'm part of the old people. Like, as my mom wasn't there. So then I can see that, well, normally, people my age and my brother and sister's age, we're the old people. But when you got this mom who's hanging on, to beat the band, it makes you're still the child. So my mom wasn't there, but there were, my brother and I, and we look like two old wizened, beat up folk. And what I loved is how his children and their children were the center of the family. And as an old person, I could, on the sideline, which I liked, and let this energy of youth and joy of people not even 2 years on this earth be the thing that is central. I loved it. One of his daughters lives in London, and her husband and their child were there, and that was very special. Very, very special. And it was interesting to see them react. It's always interesting to see people who are not Americans react to America now. Not that the UK is any great shakes, but it was interesting to see them react to us in this pandemic. And the sense I got was they think we're all nuts. They think the anti-vaxxers are clearly nuts, but they also think a lot of us on the other side are also nuts in our refusal to live with any kind of risk. So that no children in the UK are masked. It's never been mandated. They go to school, they're unmasked. And seeing children masked, they found really upsetting, which is interesting. I don't know. I have some things here. Do you know who invented the metal detector? I mean, why should you? Why should you? But do you know who did? As it's something I just found out. Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell invented the metal detector. And you know why? I mean, I still don't know. I don't have enough information here, but it was 1881. And it says here he invented a device, a metal detector, to find the bullet that was lodged in the body of the president, James Garfield, that an assassin had sort of placed there. And I am like, what? Somehow somebody said, hey, call Alexander Graham. Well, maybe you could at that point. Someone get a message to Alexander Graham Bell and tell him to invent real fast a thing that we can, find where the hell is this bullet? the whole story strikes me as odd, but here it is in the New York Times. So I'm thinking it's probably factual, but it begs a million questions. Just wanted to let you know. Among the many accomplishments of Alexander Graham Bell, he apparently invented on a moment's notice a metal detector so they could find the damn bullet that was killing the president. Okay? I believe my caller called back. Hello?
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 Yes, hello.
Hi.
Yes, okay. I don't know, believe who invented what. Like Alexander Graham Bell. I'm not sure if he invented that or not. Because
he
we
did.
always thought,
says right
yeah,
here.
maybe. Because
see, you don't believe anything.
No, because Tesla invented a lot of stuff that other people take credit for. So
I know. This is true.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't really know.
It could have been Joe. Yeah, that's right. It could have been Joe Schmendrick in Poughkeepsie who invented it, but never got the credit. You're right.
Right. They do that all the time, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say on that Brown thing, yeah, he has a mental illness. But you know who has a mental illness? Is us, for watching a violent sport and thinking it's entertainment. There's something wrong with our society. More and more I watch it, more and more I think, why do I watch this? And I'm not a big sports fan anyway, but it's too violent. I won't watch that UFC, and I studied self-defense, but I won't watch that stuff. I can't take that violence.
Well, good for you, but I think a lot of us are drawn to it, and we are no different. We are no different than those Romans, and look what happened to them. Those Romans who filled up the Colosseum to watch men be, ripped apart by lions and
we
tigers.
Haven't changed.
No,
and if we
not a bit.
Still do that, we probably would still do it, but we're not allowed. So. Yeah,
no, because we're now supposedly civilized.
Yes. So.
Oh, we couldn't do that. But
because we're so wonderful.
No, I hear you, and I would absolutely agree with you. Except, I have two teams I do love, and I can't help it. Especially my first team, the Green Bay Packers, and now they're looking really hot, and I gotta watch. If they were looking like crap, I wouldn't watch. But
right. Yep, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I hear you.
That's all I got. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
And here's another fact I have here. Okay, sorry. This is from some the end of the year, these goddamn compilations. The best, the worst, the this, the that. Oh, God, I so hate them. I hate lists. But this was one, and why would it have been 72 of our favorite facts of 2021? What? Who even? What? And why 72? They couldn't find a 73 favorite fact in the entire year. It just doesn't make any sense anyway. But the Alexander Graham Bell thing was one of them. And I thought, well, I find that vaguely interesting. And here's another one that I really loved. And I think I knew it, but I'd forgotten it. But being reminded of it was delightful. And that was about treadmills. Treadmills in Charles Dickens' London, in Victorian England, were used as punishment in jails. Prisoners who were being further punished for some infraction were condemned to a treadmill for hours a day. I seem to recall seeing some depiction of that. But I found it so funny because when I think of treadmills, I think exactly of punishment. I have one in my basement. I avoid it as much as possible. A form of punishment. That was what it was invented for. A form of punishment. Yeah. Man. It's sort of like, my story about the, what was that called? The, God dang it. That device that I mail ordered when I was about 19. I was away at college at Northwestern on my own. And I saw this, blanking right now. It's bumping into the snowies because I think it's something like that. And I found, this thing that said it would take weight off me and I didn't have to do anything but lie down. I thought, that's for me. Oh, I remember. It was called the Relax-Acizer. Ha, ha, ha. No treadmills. The Relax-Acizer. And so I ordered it, and it came, and I had a friend come over, and we saw this thing, and you put these, you adhered something to your thighs. That was what I wanted reduced. And the thigh, that thing was connected to the machine, the Relax-Acizer. And then you turned it on. And what it did was send electrical current into your leg. And your leg muscle contracted in electrical shock. Bah! It said, I'm being electrocuted. And then, zap, it would do it again. Bah! I'm being electrocuted. And my friend had one on her leg. I had one on my leg. And we're lying there on my floor above the pizza shop on Davis Street in Evanston. And we're being electrocuted together. And we started laughing. Oh, my God, I was laughing at the stupidity of myself. And in our laughter, we touched each other. And, oh, boy, that turned out not to be a good idea because then we just got truly zapped. Zap! And then it was so many years later, I was reading Newsweek or Time, and there was an article about them closing down this old mental institution somewhere in New England and talking about the horrors that had been discovered in this appalling place where poor souls had been subjected to torture because they were sick. And they talked about one particular torture device called the Relax-Acizer. Yeah. Ooh, funny. All right. Trying to see what time I got here. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I had something in my head that I wanted to share, and damn if it didn't. Oh, I know what I wanted to share. A movie review of sorts. The meteor that went that so many of us felt. It's odd because, like, the day before I had watched the movie, called Don't Look Up, about an asteroid heading toward Earth. And I do recommend it. I say I'm not alone, because I saw that Tony Norman in the Post-Gazette had a long, pretty rave review about the movie. He enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. Some people are poo-pooing it, this, that. Yeah, right, it ain't perfect. But there's some wonderful stand-ups of our culture in it. Our media culture, our military culture, our political culture. It's all wrapped up in this Dr. Strange-Lovian satire. And I'm sure that you would be able to have a laugh or two. It's very much about our times, these Trumpian times. And it's good, I think. Anyway, star-studded cast. There's some parts that dragged. What is it with movies now? I've heard this before. They used to be about an hour and a half, which is fine. And now they're always over 2 hours. That's too friggin' much. I'm just saying, too much. And this movie easily could have had 20 minutes pulled out. I could do it myself. But I do recommend it because it actually did make me laugh. And them's the kind of movies I'm wanting. As opposed to all these other supposedly great movies that are out there now that are so heavy. I don't understand, why do movie makers, when we're living in such a heavy time, why for our entertainment do we want to be subjected to misery and other people's heavy times? We want distract. It's why during the Depression there were Busby Berkeley musicals. I mean, we don't want. What is wrong with people who make entertainment? But if you want to get bummed and watch, like a good movie, like You're Not Bummed Enough, I do also recommend The Power of the Dog, and to a lesser extent, The Lost Daughter. Both of which are getting raves. But don't expect to feel good after them. So what is the goddamn point? Don't Look Up is much better. Yeah, Barbara reminds me of another football player. Yeah, do you remember this? And it got very little attention, I thought. There was a former NFL player who went berserk. It was earlier this year, wasn't it? And he killed 6 people, strangers. Killed them. And then I think killed himself. Not quite sure. His name was Phillip Adams. And the people around him said that after going through the medical records from his football career, by the way, when he was dead, they cut open his head and looked at his brain, and it was destroyed from CTE, from being a football player. And Barbara sent me this. After going through medical records from his football career, it was apparent that he was desperately seeking help from the NFL, the evil empire, but was denied all claims due to his inability to remember things and to handle seemingly simple tasks, such as traveling hours away to see doctors and going through extensive evaluations. He'd come to the point where he couldn't handle any of that, so they wouldn't help him. And he had been essentially destroyed, murdered by the NFL. And that could, in some part, be playing out with Antonio Brown, but I don't know. I think from the moment that poor soul was born, I don't think he ever had anyone care for him. I don't know. All right, that's it from me. Is done. There was something I was going to share with you that I can't remember. I'll remember it as soon as I say goodbye, but there's always tomorrow. Susan should be joining us tomorrow. Be careful out there. I hear there's a virus. Yeah, and even if you're shot up and vaxxed and boosted, it could still break through. So I'm just saying. Pretend it's 2021. Remember how you were then. Yeah, you weren't mixing a lot. I think that would be a good idea. All righty. Toodaloo, have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.